Okay, so today we're looking at how live events are made in Fortnite Creative and how you can improve your live events if you ever want to create some. So, with that being said, let's jump right into it. And this is how my mini live event looks from behind the scenes. You can see we have a bunch of prop manipulators, a bunch of prop movers, and a bunch of lighting and other stuff. However, you can say that creating this live event, there was two main things you have to do. The first thing is creating the main mechanic. In this case, this would be the handguard getting pulled back to the original mech here, and obviously also the machine breaking at the end. However, the second part of creating a good live event is the visual and the sound effects. In this case, we have a lot of lighting over here. You can see that. I will come to that in a second. But first of all, let's break down the main part. And everything started with this red little button over here, which is obviously the main thing that every live event needs and needs to start at some point. So you either want to have someone pressing a button, stepping in a zone. For example, you can use the imitator zones for that. Or obviously also another great device is the real life timer. It's a great device because at the end of a countdown, you can send signals, which is just perfect for live events. However, for our live event, we just needed a single switch with a single press. So you can see here that the only channel that we ever use is when turned on. So that means if we press the button down, we send a signal. This signal then starts moving the card and also activating the light. We come to that in a second. However, we use the prop mover to obviously move the card. The other thing is, which a lot of people ask me, is how did I make the wires disappear? Yeah, so you can see that we have prop manipulators all over the other wires, but not on this first wire. That's only this first wire is moving along. And as soon as it reaches a point, it makes the other wire disappear so it doesn't stick out at the end. This is probably the easiest way that I could think of. There's probably other ways and better ways to do this. However, some of you guys probably asked how these wires know when to disappear, because they obviously have to activate with channels, so we have to hide them at a certain channel. So the first solution to that would be the option of enabling device activation on move. That basically means that this is now activating the device, such as a sequencer, which then if, for example, it touches this with a trigger device, it disappears. However, the trigger device currently does not work with this option, so having trigger devices placed all over this wire is a little bit weird and would look a little bit odd on the map. So I came up with a different solution. We have a sequencer down here, which then basically runs at the same speed as the card. So basically, as soon as this thing starts moving, the sequencer starts moving as well, and then activates the channels for that. And obviously this channel deactivates this wire and so on. The second mechanic is when this card stops, and as you can see, the card slowly moves to the end, but I really don't have anything to do with it. So I choose to make this thing explode and catch on fire, so basically it starts moving in. You can see that right here. Now it basically blew up, and now we have some fire on it. You can see that we have a distance of 75 meters. That means these prop movers only move a maximum of 75 meters if I don't activate any other channels. Which also means they activate this channel when movement finishes transmit on a channel. So after 75 meters over here, it activates a channel, which then basically blows up this explosive device and then also activates this VFX creator. As you can see right here, this is obviously turned off right now. So if we start this right now, you can see this is a fire effect. And it basically... And then obviously this basically burns for the entirety of the match because this thing is now broken. Second most important part is probably the most overlooked part in any kind of live event, and that is the lighting and the atmosphere in general. That means sound effects and obviously visual effects. In my case, as visual effects, we have these blinking lights. You can see right now they're blinking anyways. For a live event, they don't blink as much and they don't really have a good feeling to them. If we now go back to dark mode, you can see these a little bit better because these are actually pretty cool blinking lights. They do not really sync very well with this one. However, you have to keep in mind that I created this in 24 hours, so I didn't really pay too much attention on the little details here, but I think for this case it was enough. You can see that obviously these are not only placed on the things that are actually blinking, I also placed a bunch of them over here to just give a feeling in general that there's a lot of blinking lights and a lot of new atmosphere coming in with this live event. The other thing which is super important in a live event is the music. However, in Fortnite Creative there's sadly two devices which both have a fetish with Halloween styles. Create something horror, they're perfect. However, if you want to create something else than horror, they're a little bit lackluster in terms of what you can do and how to reuse it multiple times. However, in my case, I used the Synthwave 1 audio track here when the event started, so you can get a little bit of feeling that something is about to happen and something dangerous might be coming upon you. And obviously all the same things that I just mentioned to you also apply to the other live event which I created recently in the short where the mech is getting blown up. You can see the live event is getting started with the imitator zone, which means running over this wire makes this wire explode. You can see here now the wire's on fire and now everything starts blinking, the lights are turning on, this rocket gets shot against the mech and then as soon as it lands in the mech is also on fire, which is pretty important to add as well. You would be wondering, why is the mech not burning or why there's no electricity? So having these little details of having fire, having electricity split out or something is very important when creating stuff like this, and just makes everything feel so much nicer. And that wraps it all up for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you learned something today. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys back in the next one. Bye.